Tom Stone caught sight of a cloud of dust just off to the left of the track ahead, whipped up from the desert floor by a powerful gust. Huge tendrils of sand twisted upwards like a mythological monster. Distracted by the cloud's sheer size and beauty, he failed to notice its speed. An opaque curtain of sand enveloped the gravel road. He hit the brakes too hard. The front wheels locked and the car skated out of control across the dusty track as the cloud slammed into the windscreen. Visibility zero. The small car spun half circle before rocking to a halt. Stone gasped for breath. Heart pounding, white knuckles gripped the wheel, his leg rigid, foot jammed to the brake. Then the cloud was gone. Midday sun tore through the windscreen, burning his arms. The desert shimmered in the distance. Hi there, just a little clip from my latest novel. Now then, in part one of this video, I told you about my idea to write a novel and how I go about it. Now in this episode, I'm going to try and submit this novel to some literary agents, and I just want to talk you through the process. So let's get going. So let me summarise where I'm at. I've written a novel. It's my second novel, and I'm going to try and see if I can get it published. Now then, there are a number of ways of approaching this, and I'm going to say I'm not an expert in this. I'm just somebody who likes to have a go at things, as you know, and so I've done a little bit of research, and it seems the best way of approaching this to start off with is to send it to literary agents. These are people who will assess your book, and if they feel it's a goer, they'll pursue it with various publishing companies and help you edit the book and improve it generally. So I think it's a good way to go about that. There is another way of going about this, and that is to self-publish, and that's what I did for my first novel, which I called The Dogworth Drop, and I used the Amazon Kindle digital publishing service that they offer, and that enabled me to upload the document, format it for a Kindle, and also format it for a softback book like this. In actual fact, I did a short story as well called Excess Baggage, and again did the same thing with that. That worked a treat. My dad wrote his life story, and when he had finished that, we decided just to print that ourselves, and we just sent the copy off to a digital printers. He actually did two books. He did one about his life story and one about my late mum's life story, and that came out really well. I mean, that's a lovely little book. We had about 30 copies printed, and it wasn't too expensive, and he was able to give it to the family. So, number of options, but I'm going to go initially for the literary agents. So, there's a little bit of work involved in that. So first of all, you need to find your agent. Now, I found some free software called Query Tracker, and this lists a number of agents, and there's a free version of this and a premium version. Now, in the free version of this, you're able to select an agent on a specific genre. Now, mine is sort of science fiction, and I get a list of agents in the UK and in the States, Australia. I think it's a global piece of software that specialise in that sort of genre. And a submission to an agent is called a query. So software called Query Tracker. I'll put a link in the description below. So that was my first port of call. I went through there and I selected, I think, about 9 agents that I felt that were in the UK that might be interested in my book. Now, the next thing to do is to look at the agent's profile. First of all, to find out what their interests are, what sort of reading they do. Because obviously, if they're into sci-fi but it's not the sci-fi you've written or the genre you've written, then it's no good sending it to them. So read their profiles. Next thing to do is to study their submission guidelines. The first thing they're going to want from you is a synopsis of the story. Now, the way I think about this, imagine you're looking at this wonderful vista outside, you know, the mountains and everything, a 3D view of beautiful scenery. And somebody asks you to paint it. So you've got to convert all that 3D image, all those subtle changes, those subtle shapes and shades into a 2D image. Now, obviously, the great painters did it. Van Gogh and Turner, Constable, they managed to do that. But it's not an easy job. And what the agents are asking you to do is to turn your book, which has got all its nuances and subtleties, down into a page or 1,500 words maximum summary. It's not easy. And they also want to know the spoilers, so they want to know what the ending is as well. So it's worth taking a bit of time to work on that synopsis, because pretty much all agents will ask for that. Now, in addition to that, they probably want to know a bit about you, so a bio is really useful. And when you're writing your bio, you need to really sell yourself, because let's be honest, nobody else is going to do it. Then they'll probably want a section of the book, and it's usually like the first 10,000 words or first 3 chapters. And they ask for it usually in something like a PDF format or a Word format. Okay, so you've got your synopsis and you've got your first 10,000 words, and it's best to put it in one document. I mean, some of the agents might ask you to have 2, but a lot of them that I submitted to just wanted one document with it all in. So the next thing to do is to write the cover letter. Now, most of the agents accept email submissions. Some of them have a form which you fill in, but it doesn't matter. You can just copy and paste your email into it. So I set up a template email and along these sort of lines. So basically, dear agent, I'm delighted to submit my latest novel for your consideration. And rather than sort of talk too much about the book, I sort of talked about my inspiration, if you like, why I write and what sort of fires me up. I've got the author bio in there, so I can just talk about, you know, why I'm doing this and what sort of experience I've got. And then at the bottom there, the elevator pitch. Now, this is something that some of the agents have asked for, and I suspect this is probably the only thing that they will look at. But the idea is you've got 5 minutes in an elevator, you've got to get across the whole gist of your story and sell it to the agent in that time. And so, well, I've tried my best. It's very difficult, but it's worth spending a bit of time sort of honing that down as much as you can. So I've got all the material ready. What do you do now? Well, I've set up a spreadsheet and listed all the agents that I've sent this novel to. Now, I'm not going to name those agents because I don't think that's fair. But just to let you know, I've got 21 agents on my list. And basically, I've just created this spreadsheet. I've got a list of the agent's name, the individual person I've sent it to, the company I've sent it to, their website, the date that I've sent the query in, an email address for them. I've called it the nudge email, so that if you don't hear in a few weeks, you can just send them an email and say, hey, have you had a chance to look at it? And then I've got the date responded and their response. Now, at the moment, I've had 2 rejections out of my 21 that I've sent. So obviously people have got it and they've seen it. Right, so now this is just going to be a bit of a waiting game. So I'm afraid you're going to have to hang on. We'll give it about 8 weeks or so and we'll see what sort of replies I get. If it's positive, that's going to be great. If it's negative, well, we're going to go to plan B. So I hope you stay tuned to this series. Thank you again for watching. And if you've got any questions or comments about anything I've discussed today, please just leave a comment below and, well, I'll get back to you. Cheers.